Remember to subscribe to our YouTube channel at NDN Nigeria. Click on the subscribe button and be the first to get notifications.
And now away from politics. The recent fire outbreak in a floating vessel, which has reportedly resulted in the death of 3 oil workers, is giving Niger Deltans cause for worry about safety standards in Nigeria's petroleum industry. Our correspondent who visited the scene filed in this report.
MV Trinity Spirit, a floating vessel owned and operated by Sheba Exploration and Production Company (SEPCO), lies in ruins at the Okpokiti offshore terminal in Oil Mining Lease 108. This follows a devastating fire outbreak in the early hours of Wednesday, 2nd February 2022. At the time of the incident, 10 crew members were reportedly on board the vessel. A local boat driver, Alaba Unwarere, who joined a rescue team deployed from communities in Ilaje-Ugbo local government area of Ondo State, told Inside the Niger Delta that there was no survivor in the initial rescue operations.
We are expecting to carry people out from this vessel to worry. Well, unfortunately, when we get here, we saw the fire. So what we could do, we stay around there with some other people who come around. We stay around to look if any survivor. But it's unfortunate we didn't see anybody. We stay around the scene more than 1 hour. We didn't see anybody, and the turbulence of the river was too much, so we couldn't bear. So we just left the place and returned to worry.
In a press statement issued few days later, SEPCO confirmed that 3 crew members had been rescued, while 1 was found dead and could not be immediately identified. The statement, signed by Chief Executive Officer of the Indigenous Oil Company, Ikemefuna Okafor, also confirmed a joint investigation visit to the floating vessel on Saturday, 5th of February 2022, but was silent on the cause of the fire incident. However, Chairman of oil-producing communities in Ilaje-Ugbo local government area of Ondo State, Barrister Wole Ogundeje, who was part of the joint investigation visit, affirms that the incident occurred as a result of technical lapses on the floating vessel.
Once he said it's accident, how does that accident happen? Is it negligence on the part of the company not to have carry out the proper maintenance as when the equipments are due for maintenance? Because like what I said, that company, Sheba, they have violated all regulatory procedure regarding the activities offshore there. And at times we were even made to understand that DPR has revoked their license.
At the time of filing this report, 7 crew members were still missing. So far, independent assessments of the tragic incidents suggest that it might have occurred as a result of the moribund state of the vessel. In recent months, there have been several cases of major mishaps on facilities owned and operated by indigenous oil companies in the Niger Delta, the last being a colossal oil spill that erupted in OML 29 in November last year. Executive Director of Youth and Environment Advocacy Center, Dunamene Fineface, advises indigenous oil companies to begin to revisit their divestment strategy to ensure that due diligence is carried out on assets acquired from international oil companies.
My call is for the local oil companies who are taking over these facilities from multinational oil companies that are divesting from the Niger Delta, that the equipment they want to buy, the equipment they want to inherit are divested to them. They should look at it and be able to be sure that it is in good state. And when they are also paying for those facilities while being divested, they should also try as much as they can to bring foreign or local technical experts that understand whether those facilities are in good condition or not. Otherwise, they will begin to experience things like this. And they must learn how to be able to carry out their oil mining activities within the best international practices and within the ambit of the laws of the land. Because when failure of this nature happens, when explosion of this nature happens and pollution happens, I believe that they should know that the liability will be on them, and they are going to be sued for not being able to maintain their facilities to the extent that it is busting and polluting the environment in this nature. Because I don't think the communities that depend on their environment for their livelihood will fold their arms and watch them. So they should know that now that they are Nigerian companies that are operating this, Nigerian communities will begin to sue them in Nigerian courts. And I'm calling on the Nigerian judiciary to sit up and live up to its expectations when communities approach them to seek redress.
Following the continued silence of the operating company on the cause of the MV Trinity Spirit fire explosion, the human rights community has called on the federal government's regulatory agencies that were part of the joint investigation visits to come up with their own position. The call is with a view to ascertaining actual cause of the tragic incidents for appropriate steps to be taken to compensate its victims.
Inside the Niger Delta,